Okay, morning fellow YouTubers. I got a little project going here out at my pond. It's a nice hot dry June day here in Indiana, and the garden over here, you'll see it's sitting over here by the pond, not too far, but it's getting a little dry, and it's not a lot of forecast for rain coming up. So I found this old pump that I bought from Harbor Freight here quite a few years ago, and it's been sitting out in the shed for quite a good while, but I figured I'd see if it still worked even anymore. So I tried it here last night with this pond, and the pump was froze up, so I ended up taking it apart at the pump, and it was definitely froze up in there. So I worked it a little bit and got it free, and had to plug it in a few more times to get it loose. But finally, I think everything freed up in it, and I didn't think it would, but so we're going to give it a try here today. So what we did, this is an electric, one of those Pacific Hydrostars. I think they sold here quite a few years back at Harbor Freight. And what I did, I think it's an inch intake line. So instead of getting one of those coiled up harder ones, I went ahead and got PVC, and I ran that thing with a check valve on the end. And as you can see, it's sticking up out of the water here a little bit. I got a pool noodle and tied it around so it's not dragging all the muck off the bottom of the pond and getting all that, because I got quite a few weeds in here. So you can see the end out there. It's just below the surface, probably a few inches. But then that pond, or that pool noodle there, is holding everything up, so it's not going to get in that. So like I said, mine's basically a hard suction. It doesn't coil up or anything, but the check valve on the end with the strainer, I figured that couldn't hurt it any. So what we did, like I said, I found an old garden hose out here too, just to test this out. But what we got here is the pump itself, and it's always been a pretty good little pump. I forget how many gallon per minute it is, but it's done a decent job years back when I used it. It was just a pain to run electric, because I've got a pretty long cord from my shed over there and running all the way down here to the pond, which, by the way, is on a GFI. I wouldn't mess with water if it's not on a GFI plug, just in case, but that's for safety. But like I said, this thing was a bear to prime. Here's your prime screw right here. You back that out. You're gonna have to pour enough water in it to fill that hard 1 inch line all the way to, back it up. So I wasn't sure how much pressure this was going to have. So I ended up taking this hose, and I ran it. I found a sprinkler, kind of an industrial sprinkler my brother-in-law gave me here a couple years back, which I don't use. But the big test is I was going to try this out and see how much pressure it's got to make that work. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in, and we'll take a look, see what happens here. And like I said, I've got a prime, so everything should be good. So we're going to plug her in. There we go. See what happens. Okay. So you can see the water. It reached the sprinkler. It's got enough pressure. So it did have enough to run that. But the problem is, what I'm going to have to do, I've got quite a few more feet here from that spot to get over to the garden. So I'm going to test that later with the hose and see if I still got enough pressure to activate the sprinkler head on that. And like I said, right now I'm not going to waste city water on it, because like I said, you're going to run into quite a bit doing that. But you can see it kind of spraying back on the pond and everything. It's doing its job, so that's the main thing. So just thought I'd give you guys this short video, but so far so good. So later on this evening, when it cools off a little bit and the sun goes down, I'm going to take it over by the garden, and we're just going to see how this thing does for its pressure, and see if we can get enough water on the garden. But like I said, my pond, it goes down pretty quick in the summer anyway. This is not going to help it, but it's either that or let the garden die out, basically. So this seems to be running smooth, no bad noises, and by having that strainer up out of the water a little, or out of the muck a little bit, keep all the nasty weeds out of the best I can, to just kind of keep clear water. Because once you start getting too much muck in your pump, it's a clear water pump, supposedly made for that. So we're going to hope that we don't get too much muck through the strainer and that, and it doesn't tear the pump up much. But like I said, it's already been froze up once, and that could have been from lack of use over time. The impellers probably got a little tight in there and everything. So so far so good. So I want to try it tonight, and like I said, just got a short hose on now, you can see it, and it's doing a good job, and the pump sounds like it's doing okay. So stay tuned, and maybe we'll find out what happens later. Thanks.